People need an income that's guaranteed to them.
If you lose money to taxes, you never get that money back.
You need to get serious about adding some lower risk.
Greed. I don't like greed.
The thing to be afraid of, honestly, is the thing that we're not thinking of, the black swan event.
There's a tsunami coming. Bye.
Welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Just coffee talk.
There's a lot of noise, a lot of chatter. Who do you listen to? Who do you not listen to? You have to stay focused.
A fun and informative look at the issues of wealth, retirement, and protecting your life savings.
These advisors out there that were trained to sell, and have all these fees, they don't want to talk about this product, so they make less money.
And now, Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Hello again and welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. My name is Randy Cook. We're here each week as we talk a little bit about you and your money. You've been saving for retirement. How is it all going to work? Who are you going to get to help you with that journey? Well, Charisse is here, and what we also want to make sure that you know is Charisse is here, right here in Marion County, because it's not 1-800-CALL-NEW YORK and get me help with my investments. You are right here, and because you are right here, that means you have a connection to our community, and we're going to talk today as we get started about Give for Marion. We've been talking about this the last couple of weeks, and Charisse, we have some guests today to talk about it.
Yes, our special guest here, we have two fabulous ladies that have been working their butts off to get this Give for Marion event off. We wanted to showcase this foundation because I just learned about it, and they've been here for a long time, and we have our own foundation, the Grilled Cheese Foundation, and I've done a fast forward big leap learning all about this in about a month. And so we thought the community should know about this, whether you own a foundation yourself or you're running one or you're looking to donate. So I have Miss Lauren and Ashley here, and why don't you guys do a quick introduction, who you are and what you do there?
Okay, I'm Lauren Diorio. I am the president and executive director for the Community Foundation.
I'm Ashley Gerds, and I am the Director of Strategic Engagement.
All right. Now, we're talking about Give for Marion, but there is a foundation that runs the Give for Marion, and it is actually the Community Foundation, right?
That is correct.
So can you tell us a little bit about what is the Community Foundation, and why is this foundation helping raise money for all the other foundations in Marion County?
Well, the Community Foundation, you'll find a community foundation all over the country. They've been started in, I think it was Columbus, Ohio, in 1914. The concept is that it helps individuals with legacy gifts. So what we do initially is we provide funds that individuals can either set up donor advised funds, but we're also working with the nonprofit sector, which is really important when we start talking about Give for Marion. This community foundation started 13 years ago with our founding chairman of the board, Mr. Frank Hennessy. He owns Hennessy Arabians. He came down from Michigan a little bit before that time period, walked into the chamber's office. It was then the chamber, not the CEP, and said, where's your community foundation? I want to set up a fund. And everybody said, we don't have something like that. And he said, well, you will. So fast forward, he has a few good friends that got together and they set the ball in motion to open a community foundation. And so the community foundation has been rolling along. Not only, like I said, do we serve donors, and we work with fabulous wealth managers like yourself
Thank you.
to kind of come up with a good plan from an estate standpoint to help people really think about giving their money strategically instead of sporadically, opening up their wallet and using that credit card. So in the sense that we had to kind of come up with that community initiative we wanted to support, because every community foundation picks a certain initiative. Mm-hmm. We realized early on that we really need to work with our nonprofit sector here. A lot of them are doing amazing work, but the reality is we want them to run like a business, and that doesn't always translate well. So it's things like a regular business would have. You've got to have good HR. You've got to have good financial management. In the case of a nonprofit, you have to have great governance. And if you don't have a good governance and a board, it's a problem. So we thought that was the first place to start. That's why we created the Nonprofit Resource Center with our founding members, the city, the county, Advent Health, and the hospital district. And from there, it's just grown. The first element we added was grant services because we knew there was $600 billion in grant funding out all over the country. And we thought, why isn't Marion County taking advantage of that? Right. So we had to work with the nonprofits, help them run like a business, become grant ready, and start pulling that money in. For us, and for me, the reason why it works so well is because I have donors that'll come in, they want to invest the money, but they want to get a good return on their investment, right? They want to know, is my money making an impact? So we need to help those nonprofits, understand that that's an obligation and that their donors are very savvy. And then we want to give those donors that confidence that the money is going where it needs to go. So we've been up and running now for ourselves 13 years. I am not the first president and executive director. There was someone prior to me. But we've seen amazing growth in the past 7 years because I think the community is starting to see what a community foundation can do to just really help make an impact and strengthen the community.
Wow, I didn't actually know all that. Wow. Mm-hmm. That is the coolest thing next to sliced bread. You have no idea how exciting that when I heard about this, how I just didn't know there's people out there helping. The grant writing was probably the most exciting thing for me because I was trying to help my director of operations, Sandra LaBeouf, and she's like, that would be great to do grants, even though there's been a big slash in grants from DeSantis, but you can still get grants, and that you guys are actually teaching that. I went, oh, wow, because people always want to know, where's the grant? How do I do it? How do I find it? So I think that is fantastic because they're coaching all of us up. I mean, I run a business here at Zinnia. I don't have a clue how to run a foundation, but I have somebody who helps. But you guys already kind of taught us a bunch of things that we didn't know, believe it or not. So that was, as a CEO, you learn to build that business, but it is totally different, right? And there's the compliance. You got to be careful there. Yeah. So I think it's lovely. And anybody who is looking to give, don't wait till Christmas. This is a great time to start. You can give $10, $25, $100, whatever you want. And you just go to Give for Marion, that's the number 4.org, and you can do it there. Now, Ashley, why don't you tell us about the Give for Marion? Tell us all the exciting pieces. There's so many pieces. I don't even know where you really need to start, but this for what you would do with me the first time if I was sitting with you.
Yeah, so this is our 5th year of Give for Marion, and there are so many layers that we've been able to create over the past 5 years to teach the nonprofits to go out and fundraise. Originally this was an idea within the Nonprofit Business Council and Lauren. COVID happened. The pandemic shut our world down, and how our nonprofits raised money was in person and having events and talking with donors face to face. And when COVID happened and we had to shut the world down, we had to come up with other ways to be able to help the nonprofits fundraise because during the pandemic, their services increased and were needed even more. So for them to be able to operate, they needed more funding. So Give for Marion was born. And the first year, there wasn't a lot of prep time, but they were still able to bring in over $300,000 for a lot of different missions within Marion County. And Give for Marion stands for giving, within Marion, give where you live. But the platform is worldwide. There's donations that come in from all over the world to help support Marion County because a lot of people may have been born here and they grew up here and this is their hometown, but they live somewhere else and now they can still give, to the community that helped grow them to the people that they are today. Yeah. So it's an absolute amazing platform and how much we've been able to grow. So I think that's amazing. You're able to raise that much in the year of COVID. That's incredible how the community just steps up. Our Marion County steps up to the plate whenever there's something horrible happening. Something I've always noticed over the years. So moving forward, tell us about this matching program. That when I heard about this matching program, I went, you have a foundation that's going to match some of my donations if I have people going there and donating. I went, this is
So cool. And I just think everybody should be doing this. So can you please explain how that works?
Sure. So there's a lot of giving platforms throughout the nation. We partner with Give, Gab, and Bonterra to create this. And we as a community foundation felt that it was very important to incentivize donors in the community, but also incentivize the nonprofits and help give them a hand up during this giving day. So part of what we do at the Community Foundation is we actually raise over $100,000. This year we have over $130,000 in prize money available. And part of that is matching dollars. So we go out and meet with the donors and the businesses to help support the nonprofits in that mission. So during a matching moment, which we have multiple of through the 33 hours of giving, anybody can log on from anywhere in the world during these matching moments and give based on their passion and how they want to support the nonprofits. But the best part is they're super fun. So is it the most donors for the power hours, or is it the most donations? But then the matches really get competitive. So last year, we started off at 10 a.m. on our first day and gave away $15,000 through the Adam Hansen Better Communities Fund.
That was like the first minutes, right?
Seconds. It went within 15 seconds. We were giving away $1,000 a second.
Wow.
And what's fun is the nonprofits get to raise dollars and increase those donations, and the donors get to help raise that. And on average, $90,000 to $100,000 is normally raised during that hour. So that donation of $15,000 helps raise so much more, because everyone's in competition on the computer trying to get those matching dollars. And it's fun. It's a great cause, and we want to be able to help really create some hype around that.
Yeah, and you have prizes throughout the 33 hours, really. I mean, it starts on the September 17th at 10 a.m. So anybody who's donate, like, what did you say, Lauren? Go to the world clock. Because it counts on clock. It's not your iPhone clock, it's your world clock.
Yes.
And so if you donate in 1 minute, likely that charity will get that donation, that match. Hopefully, who knows? It goes by really fast. But you do this throughout this does it go from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. September 17th? Does it stop at 10 p.m.?
No, 7 p.m. So we do 33 hours. So it's 10 a.m. on September 17th this year, and it goes through September 18th, and we'll all come together at the Riley Art Center to celebrate those final moments at 7 p.m.
I was thinking people could go to sleep and it would start again at 8 o'clock in the morning. So that's not the case.
No, we go all the way through. No sleep.
So you hear that, retirees? I know you're waking up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I know I wake up at 4. It's a great time to donate because there's a competition. Whoever gets the most donations overnight too, which is very cool. And then you also have talk about the social media prizes and that kind of stuff.
So we felt it was really important. We want to continue to evolve Gift for Marion every year and not let it go stagnant. We want to create surprises. We want to create more prizes, and we want to create a fun environment to fundraise for our nonprofits.
I want to take off work, but I can't. I have like 3 classes, and I wanted to do this 33 hours, and I can't. So keep going.
Yes, it's kind of funny because I've talked to a few people over the past few days, and they're like, I've put in for a PTO. I'm taking off work because I just want to focus on Gift for Marion, and I want to come to the events, and I want to be with the nonprofit, and I don't want to miss out on anything. So our overnight prize is actually sponsored by Neighborhood Storage, and it's super fun because at nighttime, a lot of our nonprofits have learned different secrets and best practices. And we have a few of them that will go downtown or to other restaurants, and they partner with the businesses for dinner time. And if you go in and you eat, there's a certain percentage donated back to Gift for Marion, and that restaurant makes a donation, or you make a donation and you show them your thank you letter that you get immediately by email, and you get a free appetizer, you get a free cupcake, or you get a beer. So you see all of these nonprofits out and about partnering with these businesses overnight as well.
We had last year one nonprofit that worked with a business that if you went in and you showed your receipt that you made a donation, they gave you a cupcake.
Oh, I just love it. This is going to be huge. I mean, it's already huge, but this is going to be huge.
It's huge.
It's already huge. So, anything else that you think the listeners should know about the foundation that would be just really important?
The Community Foundation is not just like any other nonprofit. We're here to serve at the betterment of the nonprofits. We are inclusive of everyone in the community, not just the nonprofits, but the members and who they serve, but also our donors who make a lot of these things possible, and our businesses. Our business community has the option to work with us and be supportive of all the nonprofits at one time. And Give for Marion is one of our largest events to help fundraise, but there are many other things that we do at the Community Foundation. We just wrapped up our back to school community give back, and we're able to serve over 7,000 kids to provide backpacks and school supplies for them to start off the year successful. And it takes many partners to make that happen. And we had over 500 volunteers come out to make that possible. So get involved with us with the Community Foundation. We're always open to different opportunities and getting your business involved and getting your staff involved. That's what we're about. It's being inclusive of our entire community.
You know what I also loved about when I was coming to the trainings is that, you know, of course I want the Grilled Cheese Foundation to get the most donations, right? But at the end of all the training, you both said something that was just very like, yeah, we are all here to do the same thing. We have the heart of servants, and we just want to give back and we want to help. And so it's not just about the Grilled Cheese Foundation. Yes, I want you to go there and donate. It's for the kids, but maybe it's horses or dogs. You got the vocal group. Maybe it's something green. Maybe it's more education. Maybe it's poverty or housing. You go there to the search button at giveformarion.org and you just type it in, and then all these foundations will follow underneath it, right? So I think we were all helping each other to really get ready for this, which I just appreciated. I felt like it was like a lovely community of people who just want to help and share. Lauren, why don't you go ahead and give the site and some basic stuff, and we'll get it to a close because people want to know, let's talk about in a couple, maybe we're going to talk about the Donor Advised Fund and QCDs here after the show. So, but you can talk about that for a second. I think that's a good idea.
Oh, sure. I guess to round us out, anyone looking to give to wonderful organizations in our community during Give for Marion, go to www.giveformarion. And of course, you mentioned give4marion.org. And, as little as $10 can make a difference. We need to rally around our nonprofits. They're doing wonderful work every single day in this community.
Yes. Thank you both for coming. I truly appreciate it. I think people are going to love this interview, and we're going to have lots more interviews to come. But don't forget, stay tuned as we start to talk about Donor Advised Fund and QCDs and how you can donate through those avenues.
Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers and Zinnia Wealth. Online, you can find us, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. And last week, as we start moving our way into September and then into October, we're in the fourth quarter of the year, Sharice and I had a nice conversation about what you could be doing financially, what you're concerned about in the fourth quarter. We talked a lot about taxes. We also talked about charitable giving. And we've just given you a great place where you can start some charitable giving, the giveformarion.org. Go to the website. And as far as, just you listening to this, if you have a passion for something, say, for instance, you see homelessness out on the street and you want to put together some, brown bag lunches for some people, you could go and pass them out. You could do that. Or you could connect with an organization that could make your efforts, your financial efforts, and your physical efforts probably go a lot further. You can find all that at giveformarion.org. And they have the big day on September the 17th and 18th where you could get matching for your giving. So make sure you mark that on your calendar, and we'll be talking about that as we get closer too. So, Sharice, one of the things we want to know is, how do we give our money to a charity and make it work for them, but also make it work for us? And they mentioned during the interview about QCDs, RMDs. That's a lot of initials. What do we need to know here?
Yeah, so we can talk about two strategies: QCDs, which is qualified charitable distributions, and donor advised funds. So let's start with the QCDs. What are those? Those are qualified charitable distributions. When you have a 401k, an IRA, any kind of retirement account that you have with an employer, one day you're going to have to start pulling money out between the ages of 73 or 75 years old. So some people come in, Randy, and they say, Sharice, I have a good pension. I have a great Social Security. I really don't want to pay the taxes on these IRAs that I'm forced to pull out every year. And every year that percentage goes up that you're forced to pull out, unfortunately. Here's the deal. Standard deductions right now, most retirees are taking a standard deduction. And the reason is because there's not enough to write off when you're itemizing now because the standard deduction went up so high. So with that said, people are donating to charities. They're writing checks from their checkbooks, Randy, and they're tithing to the churches. They're giving it to these foundations, 501c3s, but they can't get the write-off because they took the standard deduction. So instead of writing checks out of your checkbooks from dollars you've already been taxed on, why don't you take your RMD money, this IRA dollars, once you turn the age of 70 and a half years old, you can start doing this. You can start sending those dollars over to your churches and or a foundation, and now you don't pay the taxes on it. So let's say you had $1 million in IRA accounts, and you said, I'm getting $40,000 this year, Sharice. I'm already giving $10,000 to my church and $5,000 to my charity. And I write it out of my checkbook, and we're taking that standard deduction. So I can't write that off. So what you can do instead, you fill out this qualified charitable distribution form, the QCD form, and you put your church on there, your charity, and then you put their tax ID number on there and then how much of your IRA you want going to them. So it's pretty simple to do. Every custodian, every company has them. And then those dollars will go to them. Just so you know, sometimes you'll receive the check and have the charity's name on it, but you just deliver that check to your charity and church if that were the case. I had a client say, Sharice, I want to put $200,000 into RMDs, and can I do that? And I said, no, you are max. You can not do more than $100,000 a year in RMDs. So that is the rule, just so if anybody was wondering. And if you're going to be part of this Give for Marion here September 17th to the 18th, it's probably a little too late to be part of that and get your money there in time if you're going to do that. But you'll be ready for next year. But you can still donate to the Community Foundation and get these RMDs set up and the form set up. And feel free to also donate to the Grilled Cheese Foundation, okay? That's supposed to be a funny, Randy.
I gotcha.
So that is one way we can layer and lower your tax bill if you're in that type of scenario and you're donating and tithing. And it's the best way. And you don't have to be taking your RMDs right now. So the new RMD age is age 73. And if you're born after 1960, it's 75. But they still allow you, when you turn 70 and a half, you can start doing this with your IRAs, even though that you're not required to take those dollars until you're 73. If you want to start lowering that big tax bill you're going to have in the future as it grows, and you're doing this with your dollars out of your bank account anyways. Now we have a number 2 layer that you can also use for donating, and they're called donor advised funds. And in the future, we're going to really probably have one big episode on how the secret sauce of these donor advised funds work with tax loss harvesting and work with qualified charitable distributions, because you can really knock out that tax bill in the future if you do it in order and you layer it correctly. So donor advised funds. Randy, are you familiar with donor advised funds?
This is a new one on me. I'm learning. I'm writing down notes right now.
Okay, so it's a great thing that a lot of people, when you're selling your businesses and you're taking that income and you're like, oh, I'm going to hit with this big tax bill, and you need a tax write-off, and you're somebody who donates anyways, or all of a sudden you want to donate. That's just one scenario. Donor advised funds are fabulous. They call them DAFs. And you can donate, cash or assets to this donor advised fund. So if you're somebody who comes into my office and you said, Sharice, I want to roll over $100,000 from my IRA to my Roth to get this stuff over so I have tax-free growth in the future, and I don't leave this big tax burden for my wife or my spouse and my kiddos, we'll use some of these strategies. And so let's say the tax bill to roll your IRA over to your Roth, let's say it was like $30,000. What you can do, and you think you're going to do it for the next 3 to 5 years, we might go ahead and say, this cannot be IRA money. So let me make that clear. It has to be non-IRA money and assets. Okay. So if you know for the next 5 years, you're going to donate $30,000 to a fund and you just got a big chunk of money, you could say, okay, $30,000 times 5 years is $150,000. And let's say you got $1 million recently from something and you're just like, ooh, that's going to be a chunky tax bill. You could go ahead and donate that $150,000 to your donor advised funds that we would be managing. And you would get that full $150,000 off of your tax bill. So you won't have to pay that to Uncle Sam. And then that donor advised fund, you can leave that $150,000 in there. You actually do not have to donate right away. But if it's something you do, you can use those dollars and donate every year thereafter. And that donor advised fund, you want to keep it conservative. You don't want a whole lot of risk, but we want it to make, average, 4, 5, 6%. But that $30,000 will go out this year. And then you might say, hey, I want only $15,000 going out next year. I've changed my mind. I said, oh, okay, you can do that. And then the next year you can do, $45,000. You can spread it out for many, many years, which is a nice thing. So you can take the write-off now and you don't have to pass it on to the churches and the charities till a future date. So you don't have to decide who you're going to choose, and you can spread it out over many, many years, which is a really nice thing. But I will tell you this much. The cash asset you donate cannot be more, you can't get the write-off of more than 60% of your adjusted gross income. So if you have an income of $100,000, then we're looking at 60%. Right, of your adjusted gross income. If you have $200,000 in income, you can do up to 60% of that. So 60% of 100 is 60, right? And 60% of 2 is 120. And let's say your income is 300,000, you can do up to 180. So it depends on what you're receiving in that asset, where it's coming from, how you're receiving it, and also your income, your adjusted gross income is going to be part of that total equation. And if your adjusted gross income is $1 million, hey, you can do 600, right? So that's how we look at the math. But we will do a segment just on donor advised funds in the near future. So tune in because I think more people need to be involved with this, especially if you are tithing to a church and you're taking your standard deduction and you can't write any of your donations off from the church and to other charities. So it's a fantastic idea. And we do couple this with tax loss harvesting. Again, it's part of our 3-layer strategy when it comes to our tax plan and tax map.
Well, many of us have been good at putting away our money, but have no idea what Therese is talking about when it comes to making sure we can shelter a little bit of Uncle Sam's tax bill. And that is a great conversation. So many of us have an idea of how we're going to grow our money, maybe even protect our money, maybe you even know what you're going to do with Social Security. But when it comes to this, we have no idea. There are 70,000 pages in that tax code, and there's a lot of things in there that we could probably use, but have no idea how. Give Therese a call. Let's talk through it. A complimentary retirement consultation is what we offer to you. That means a free look at what you have done all your life, saving for retirement, and how to best use it and use it effectively when it comes to your retirement years. Find us online, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. Click on the gold box that says Complimentary Retirement Consultation, and we'll take it from there. Or you can take it into your own hands right now and give us a call. 833-368-3680. Again, 833-368-3680. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about 401ks. Your 401k is probably looking pretty good these days. The question is, what do you do with it in retirement? How do you make that a paycheck? That's the question we'll answer next on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Therese Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, find us, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a button there that says Complimentary Retirement Consultation. If you click on that, we'll ask you a few questions. Let's get a date on a calendar and talk about your retirement. Let's talk about all that money that you've saved. What is it going to do for you in your retirement years? And we're going to focus in on one of the big parts of that money, and that is the 401k. Fidelity just announced that they now have 24 million 401k accounts. That's a lot of money.
That ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. Okay. I got you beat.
All right. They report they now have 497,000 people that have reached $1 million or more in their accounts. Now, that's only like 2% of that 24 million. Okay. So that is a small number, but we also got to know that there's a lot of people in that 24 million that are just starting out, or they're 10 years in, or they're 20 years in. They're not all retirees. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at your 401k, it looks great. You say, that's a good number. But Charisse, two things. Number one, all of that money is not yours. You owe some of that to Uncle Sam. And then the other part of it is, how do we take that money and make it into a paycheck, make it into income in our retirement? So let's talk through the tax part of it, okay?
Okay. So also, Randy, you need to know this, that there's $1.65 trillion sitting in old 401ks.
Wow.
Meaning people have retired. They have not moved it to an IRA or their new 401k, and it's doing nothing. And it's probably being charged in fees, and it's just in the fund, and it probably needs something. So I just want you to know those old 401ks from your older employers, even if you're with these new employers, you can find a fiduciary advisory firm in your neighborhood that would be happy to roll that over to an IRA and start creating a plan for those dollars, because you can do that at any age, even if you're not of age of 59 and a half, if you're 30 or 40 or 50 or 70, whoever you are that is listening today, you can roll that over without any taxes or any penalties to an IRA. And once you move it over to that IRA, then we can consider rolling it over to a Roth IRA. And if you don't want to do that and pay the taxes, that's okay too. There's a lot of other things that you can do, but get control of your money. So what was that question you asked me?
So, you have $1 million in your 401k right now. It's not really $1 million. And I mean, this gets into the whole thing of taxes and RMDs. And, there's a certain time when you have to take that money. And so that's not really all yours. And I mean, yay, it's $1 million, but it's really only $750, right?
Right. So all of these IRA dollars that you have saved up in these 401ks, every dollar that you put into that 401k, an IRA, is going to be taxable at your marginal tax rates, ordinary income rates. And all the matches is going to be taxed the same way. And all the growth is going to be taxed the same way. So you have a massive amount of taxes, and you have a new partner in your life, and it's called Uncle Sam, because he's going to want some of that money back, right? So you are forced at the age of 73 to pull money out. That's the new rule, the new age, 73. And you got to pull about an average of 3.65% out the first year. And every year, it never goes away. By the time you're in your 80s, you're pulling out over 8% and paying the tax bill on it. And I'm going to tell you, when you're in your 80s and you've got $2 million sitting there, and you're finding out that you have to take $160,000 out of your $2 million IRA that was once upon a time, maybe 15 years ago or 10 years ago, $1 million, but because you left it grow, and we didn't create a tax plan, now you're pulling out $160,000. So retirees, listen, you might be 50 or 60 or even 70. Think about the state of mind that you're going to be in when you're 80. Right. And or if you're 60, look at 70. If you're a high risk investor with us, doubling money in 10 years is not a hard thing to do. Right. So you have $1 million, it goes to 2 million. And now you went from 60 to 70. And let's say your RMD is 6%. You're not going to be a happy camper having to pull out $120,000 out of your IRA. You're going to say, yeah, great job, Pat Charisse in the back and her team for doubling money if that were the case. But you're not going to be happy about Uncle Sam because it's a forced hand you have. So you're creating this ticking time bomb that's getting harder and harder and harder for you to escape. So this is why we like to talk about the secret sauce of tax planning, and why we like to do the different layers of tax planning with qualified charitable distributions with our IRA money. We can't do donor advised funds of IRA money, but there's other strategies you can do. And there's tax loss harvesting for your brokerage accounts. So all this is going to be a big impact in the future. And if you're 70 years old, 80 years old, and you're finding out you have to pull $120,000 to $180,000 and pay the tax bill, how do you think that's going to make you feel at 70, 75, or 80?
Yeah, by then
you're going to be upset. You're going to say, why didn't Charisse talk to me about a tax plan? Why not? Well, if you've come into my office, we've talked about your tax plan. We've done it. We do a tax map. All you have to do is bring in your tax returns, and we're going to figure out how much you can roll from an IRA to a Roth in the tax bracket you're in without going over. And if you go over from the 22% tax bracket to the 24% tax bracket, no big deal. That's only 2 cents more. So do we do more, or do we not even do anymore? So those are conversations that we are having. But those 401ks, if you have $1 million right now and you pass away, and that your surviving spouse will now take on these funds, and they still have to take an RMD. We talk about this all the time. The widowers and widows penalty, their taxes go up an average of 25%, yet their income goes down. So if you want to offset the tax bill for your lovely bride or husband, if you were to pass away first, then we need to start doing this now. But it doesn't stop there. When the second spouse passes, now we got the kiddos penalty, right? Now the kiddos get stuck with this huge tax bill. And back in the day, it was only a couple of years ago when the Secure Act changed all the rules to the beneficiaries, to your heirs and your kiddos, and maybe your siblings and family members. They didn't have to pay a big IRA tax bill when they inherited your IRAs. Now they get a whopping, huge, disgusting tax bill that most people don't even understand yet. So when you're living, a married couple, you don't like paying taxes as it is. So we deal with it. And then when one spouse passes, the surviving spouse has a bigger tax bill. Now you're just straight up angry. And then what happens? Now the second spouse passes and it goes to the kids, and they're paying double the tax than what you guys ever had to deal with, because they have to cash out those IRAs over 10 years. They can no longer extend those over 10 years. And so it's a huge tax hazard for the surviving spouse, and then the kids even more so. So how do we eliminate the future tax burden? And I have done this tax mapping over and over again. And somebody who comes in with $1.5 million and we start to do this tax plan, what we find on average is that the legacy they're getting by using the tax plan goes from sometimes $2 million to $4 million. And now there's hardly any taxes to the beneficiaries thereafter. So this is why we really encourage people to come in for the tax plan. It is very important to understand how this works, and we'd be happy to do that.
Well, I remember back in 1978 when 401ks started. I was 18 years old. I was going in my career, and I knew that my career in radio would not have a pension. And so they came out with this thing called a 401k, and they said, you get to choose where the money goes. You get to choose where the risk level is, and you get to use this money in retirement. And it all seemed like a great idea. But I feel now it was almost like Uncle Sam had a plaid coat on selling used cars going, we're dealing, because it was a big sell job on us. They didn't say anything about the taxes. And so now here we are. Now we're baby boomers. We are here ready to use this money in retirement. And now a whole bunch of it goes to Uncle Sam. How do we get around it? Well, we got to pay our taxes. That is for sure. But what rate do you want to pay your taxes at? Charisse, this is something I know that you've seen, is that people come into you and they have these TSPs and they have these 401ks and they have all of these different places where they put their money, but nobody has given them any education at all on how to use it. And there is no, hey, today at the cafeteria, we're going to have a 1-hour seminar on how to use your 401k in retirement. And never happens. Never happens.
No, it really.
So we
never say never, but most likely it has not happened.
We got to go to you for this kind of information. So anybody who has most of their money in a 401k, and I know a lot of you do, this is where the bulk of your money is. You need to have some advice on this. You need to have some guidance on this. And Charisse, this is something that you see regularly with people across the area.
And I am one of those people, and everybody's trained here to breathe this, learn it, understand it, talk to our clients about it. is that there is no investment plan. There's no income plan. There's no retirement plan without the tax plan first. How in the world can I advise you on your investments if we haven't even talked about the tax strategy? Because that is a big part of how we're going to invest your money, because some stocks pay dividends. You got to pay qualified dollars on those. Some are non-qualified. Some are, you go mutual funds versus exchange traded funds. You have a brokerage account. You should go to exchange traded funds, not mutual funds, because then if they sell something, not mutual fund, you're going to be taxed. You get a lovely love letter from the IRS saying, hey, you sold Coca-Cola. You're like, honey, I didn't even know if I own Coca-Cola, but you had that Fidelity mutual fund that was in there, and I guess you did. And so you don't want surprise taxes while your advisor is also creating a tax plan. So the right dollars in the right tax buckets is the most important thing. And I wish they would train. I wish there was a program at all big firms that somebody could go in and teach this stuff, because that's when they have time to do it. That's when they're allowed to do it. It's when it makes the most sense. But a lot of people will wait till they're retired and then they start coming to our offices. And if I just had another 5 years with you, it'd just make all the difference. But we can make it work. We do it all the time. But if I can have 10 years, that's a blessing.
Come on in early. I know that it is your tendency to say, okay, I'm going to retire in 6 months. I'm going to go see a financial advisor. Why don't you make that timetable a little bit earlier, 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years from retirement, and say, okay, let's start getting the blocks in place to put this all together to build my retirement house. 833-368-3680. 833-368-3680. Online, you can find us at zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. This is what most people do. They see that gold box down at the bottom there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. That's exactly what it is. It's a free meeting with Charisse where she takes a look at what you've done to save for retirement, what your goals are, what do you want to do in retirement, and let's see if we can put the money with it. 833-368-3680 or zinniawealth.com. So a new survey from Bankrate.com has ranked the best states for retirement. Florida comes in eighth. What?
Eighth. Okay.
All right.
Hey, we're in the top 10. I'm always happy with the top 10er. I mean, I'd like to be in first, second, or third.
That's where we should be. That's where we should be. Okay.
I know.
But why? Okay, let's find out. This is what they list. They say home prices, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and HOA fees have skyrocketed in Florida in the last few years, making Florida much less affordable. So take a look at these numbers. If you go back just a couple of years, 2010, the median house price in Florida, $136,000. Today, that's $399,000. It's above the national average. Median property taxes in Florida in 2019, $2,200. Today, $3,000. Homeowners insurance has gone up 40% in the last year. And you know about this, after that terrible thing in Miami where the condo fell, Governor DeSantis said, okay, we're not going to let this happen anymore. So we're going to inspect all these old buildings. And if we find that there's a problem, you got to fix it. You got to fix it now. We're putting you on notice. And the condo associations are going, okay, y'all got to pay for this. And some people are getting bills between $60,000 and $100,000. Imagine you're in retirement. You're living in a condo on the beach, and all of a sudden, at your condo, you get a $60,000 bill. Who can deal with that?
Well, let me unpack all of that, Randy.
All right.
And let me talk about the property taxes. So yes, property taxes have gone up. When your home values go up, your property taxes are going to go up. And after COVID and during COVID, boy, there was a rush for everybody to move to Florida, and we became the most popular place to move to because Governor DeSantis said, you know what? We want to keep things open. And so people moved here, and it was a great buying time. Prices did get pretty high. So taxes, because of the boom, the real estate boom, taxes also went up, right?
Yep.
But let's talk about the homeowners insurance that has gone up over 40% since last year. So when the value of your properties go up, the insurance typically goes up too. But there's been a lot of hurricanes in our past. And so there's a rising cost because of the cost to replace homes. And so these insurance companies have just gone gangbusters because I think since it's an inflationary period, we can go ahead and just double whammy everybody.
Or they just go out of the whole place altogether. They say, we're not writing any more policies here because you're too expensive.
Exactly. It's been tough for us Floridians for sure. And so those are the things we cannot control, right? Mm-hmm. And then have Governor DeSantis sign the new condo regulation bill. I remember when that building fell in Miami. It was horrifying to watch. It was absolutely horrifying. But he is protecting for the future people who own condos, or they own a condo and somebody's renting in it, to make sure these buildings are protected so that these inspections make sure that everything's up to par. And if they're not, so he's doing a good thing. The unfortunate thing is that it flows down to the average owner of these condos. And you might have just bought your very first condo, and all of a sudden this inspection comes in and there's 10 condos, and now that's $100,000 of things you have to get fixed because this inspection came back. So they're going to make you pay all $10,000 each, right? If there's 10 of you and it's $100,000, if that's how it goes down. And we cannot control those things, but it is for your own protection. But, you know, a lot of people aren't aware of these costs that can come later on by being an owner. I call this just a really tough time with inflation. And so we talked about taxes, we talked about your homeowner's insurance, a new condo regulation bill, you name it, everything has gone up. And people are terrified, Randy, because they're barely able to make it. They're like, well, where do I pull the extra income from? If you're used to pulling 4% from your portfolio and you're retired, you've got to pull more. And are you making that much more? And the answer is probably no. It's still the same. And so you're watching your accounts go down faster because you're just trying to keep up with this rising cost of everything. And let alone the grocery bill. The average human being out there to you all, the grocery bill is ridiculous. I went to go buy 5 moon pies the other day. I'm like, when did moon pies cost $5? I was getting it for the staff. I was having a moon pie party.
So funny.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just as an aside here, you and I, when we sit and talk about things, we talk about things in such a regular, everyday basis. You know, if I'm going to bring up something that comes up in retirement, I'll say a water heater or a new car or, you know, groceries or a new roof. You talk about groceries, a moon pie. But, you know, we're talking real money here for people in retirement. Yes. If they get assessed for, you know, $10,000 or $20,000 or something like that, they're kind of going, where does that come from? And they got to dip into their 401k to get it. And that's not good, is it?
No. And the cost of groceries in Florida went up almost 25% in 4 years, which we talked about 3 years ago, what was happening with electric bills and groceries. I'm like, here it comes, guys, get ready. You got to start planning where it's being pulled from. So if you're nearing retirement, you're going into retirement, or if you're in retirement, I really hope that your advisory team put together an income plan alongside with your investment plan and your tax plan that gave you an adjustable increase on your income every year. And it should be at least 3% to keep up with these costs. I personally had a client say, Sharice, I know we had this income plan built out a couple of years ago, and we put the adjustable inflation protected amounts in every year for the next 40 years if we live that long. And they said, you know what, we did 3% and it's not going to cut it right now. And that's because they're feeling the pain over the last 2 years. Even though our inflation rate in the United States is going down, the cost of goods haven't gone down, right?
Right.
You know, I was just talking to Denver Beck over at Optimum RV at a luncheon I went to the other day. And he owns this RV place here in Ocala, 441. And it was interesting to hear his story because he said, you know, since COVID, they made too much stuff. So now they have this inflow of inventory that they had to drop their prices. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I have clients all the time wanting to buy RVs and pull behinds. You got to get on my radio show because right now is a really great time for the buyer to go buy, even though it hurts his pocketbook, right? And he has Optimum RVs across the country on top of that. And so we're seeing prices on these cyclical items, car prices coming down, RV prices coming down. So it is kind of a good time to purchase those things. but we're seeing groceries stay the same. We're seeing property taxes go up. We're seeing insurance on our homes going up. We're seeing everything else go up. But some of these cyclical things, which is interesting, are a great buy. But most people are tapped out, Randy, because they can't even keep up with the grocery bill. So it's very hard to go buy that RV, especially right before an election. So there's so many things out there, whether you're a business owner, a condo owner, a homeowner, or you're a retiree, or you're just trying to save and get by and just pay the grocery bill. So we understand you. We feel you. Me personally, we're going through the same thing. You know, I'm being watchful. You know, I want to go buy an RV, but I'm not going to right now. But maybe here in November and December, I will, right? So again, it's all about the tax plan. It's all about getting in the know before you start turning on these income checks, because income makes the world go round. And if you don't know where the income's coming from, and you don't know if it's going to be adjustable every year so you can get more, and you haven't seen the plan, then you don't have a plan. You're confused. You're psychologically and emotionally, that would be terrifying to me if I was retired. If I didn't actually know or have a plan, and somebody said, hey, I'm going to manage your money, and hey, we're going to double your money over 10 years, and don't worry about the rest. That doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. I've been treated like that before. So if you all are now thinking, gosh, that sounds like me, I've had those conversations, or you just need a conversation about how to create that income plan, that adjustable increased income plan, right? To protect from inflation over the years, you know, go to our website, zinniawealth.com. There's a gold button you can click on, schedule your complimentary retirement review, and we'll start going down this road with you. We'll have that connection call and that connection appointment, and then we'll start painting that vision that maybe you're not seeing, that we can help you paint along the way.
Well, the main thing to know is that whatever income that you have coming in now that's paying your bills and you're living your life and you're doing fine, that number has to go up every year for the next 20, 30 years of your retirement. If you're doing your life on $5,000 to $6,000 a month now, you're going to need that in retirement, but you're also going to need more. And when Charisse puts that illustration out and said, you know, in 5, 6, 10 years, we're going to need $10,000 a month. And you go, how is that possible? Well, here it is in black and white right here. It shows you how much the cost of living in Florida continues to go up. And they're not going to say, oh, that's okay, you're retired, we're going to give you a break. That doesn't work at the grocery store. You go down to Publix, you pay the same as everybody else. And those prices are going up. We need to account for that in your retirement plan. Give us a look on our website, ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. Again, hit that gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation, or call us 833-368-3680. Again, 833-368-3680. Get a date on a calendar, and let's talk through some of the math of your retirement. That is all the time we have on this one. Charisse, we'll give you the last word.
All right. Well, we spoke a lot about tax planning, donor advisor funds, qualified charitable distributions, a giveformarion.org event coming up here September 17th and 18th. Go to our podcast links, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, even on your Apple phone, you have a podcast link, and listen to what we spoke about, because there was a lot about taxes. And if you're looking to give, it's coming up here in the next couple of days. And thank you all for tuning in as usual, because there's so many other things you could be doing. Live by design and not by default. And we'll see you here next week.
This has been Retirement Coffee Talk. To find out more about how the strategies we've discussed on this program can build the retirement you've been wanting, call Zinnia Wealth at 352-368-3680 or visit us online at ZinniaWealth.com.
Charisse Rivers is an investment advisor representative of Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Charisse Rivers is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency, and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any client experiences discussed during this show are unique to that client. They are not meant to imply or suggest you will experience the same results. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Charisse Rivers, NPN Insurance License Number 8718011.